Welcome to FS Talks. I'm your host, Gohar Sharoyan, and this is a podcast on living and learning across cultures. This podcast series is dedicated to meaningful conversations about culture, migration, belonging, identity, and learning and living together in Luxembourg. On this podcast, you will hear personal stories, valuable insight, and open discussions on the intercultural life in Luxembourg. This project is brought to you by FS Luxembourg with the support of Fondation Sommer, Haykuhi, Radio Ara, and the Media Center of the University of Luxembourg. Hello and welcome to FS Talks on Living and Learning Across Cultures. I'm Gohar and I would like to introduce to you Luisa Martins and Haykuhi Markarian. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Thank you very much for being here and for joining us today. There is one specific thing that connects us all today, among other things, I guess. But there is one thing that is in common between the three of us, and that is that we all came to Luxembourg as volunteers, and we all ended up staying in Luxembourg and living here. So we came on European Voluntary Service, which is currently known as European Solidarity Corps. And we came on different projects to live and volunteer here for, normally it's 12 months. I guess also in your case it was more or less around the same time.
Depends on the project, but for us, 12 months, yes.
Yeah. And we ended up staying and living here. So there's always a story behind. And this is why we're here now, to find out these stories. Therefore, I would like to give you the floor and ask you if you could tell us a little bit more about what projects you came on to Luxembourg and why exactly Luxembourg. That is also like important out of everywhere, why it was Luxembourg that brought you here. So whoever wants to start, please.
Go ahead. I can start.
Please.
So, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to come to this podcast and to talk about something that so marked my life, the European Volunteer Service in Luxembourg. I want to say also hi to all my friends that stayed in Luxembourg. We were a big group back in 2010 when we came to do the EVS to Luxembourg, and the majority is here from the ones I can remember. European Volunteer Service is a project funded by Erasmus project, let's say. And when I applied, I wanted to be selected in countries that I could learn French. So one of the on the positive sides of also doing European Volunteer Service, doing this exchange program, it's to learn the language of the country where you are volunteering. So I wanted to learn French, improve my French. For real. And I applied for several projects in France and in Luxembourg. Eventually, I was accepted at the CCPL, the Confédération de la Communauté Portugaise au Luxembourg. It's an association that faded away, unfortunately. This association was collaborating with many others from the Portuguese or the Lusophone community. And we were doing common projects for the integration of the community, the migrant community. So very diverse projects, from literary sessions, cooking sessions together, events with seniors, IT classes for elders, summer camps with children, very diverse activities. And I could also improve my French by attending classes. So it was a very fun time, I'd say.
For me, EVS was at the beginning my job, because I used to work in an organization. I'm originally from Armenia, and in an organization in Armenia where we were hosting EVS volunteers, we were sending EVS volunteers. I was also cooperating with Salto Eastern Europe, a structure within Commission that was particularly working with the countries of Eastern Europe, which were 7 and are still 7 countries. So I think my first meeting with EVS was quite a professional one. And I was doing also accreditation of organizations. I was doing trainings for volunteers. So I knew the program from all possible sides of it, except one thing. I was talking about something and was admiring something and seeing effect of something that myself I didn't do, though I had the chance. And it is also very interesting because EVS was and still is one of those rare programs where even if you are coming from a country that is not EU member, you are given a chance. And that is what I think should be also very much appreciated, and that's also have an added value, being one of the rare tools that give you a chance to live and experience something new. So EVS was up to 30 years old for people up to 30 years old. And when I was 29, the realization came that either now or never again. And I decided now. Now then, that was another type of experience to start, because it's one thing when you are sending and hosting volunteers, and one thing when you are the one who's supposed to be sent and hosted, to be chosen or not chosen. And my choice was also somehow linked to the languages. I was learning in Armenia as my third foreign language French, and the fourth one German. And my idea was either to go to Germany and to improve my German to reach at least 50%, 70%, or to go to a country where I can develop my French and bring it to a level of English. So I would say that some lines, some time of refusals came, because I was looking what I can give to the project, but also what the project can give me, in addition of the fact that you learn the language, you learn the culture. And so it was always going narrowing. And among one of the projects that I saw in the country was Luxembourg. And before I was for a conference in Luxembourg for some days. So I was like, okay, I saw the country, it looked nice. And French can be the language to develop. And I'm till today very thankful and happy that that was an organization, Maison des Associations, that selected me as a volunteer, and then that gave me chance to be a volunteer, to experience what I knew from other sites in a personal level, but also to know better the country, and also to improve the language, and it was, everything was done in a way that you learn without realizing that you are learning. You are getting something new, and it's taking a time to realize that in fact that comes from my time that I spent as a volunteer.
Do you remember some kind of experiences that were making you realize something about yourself or about the environment you're navigating? What are those moments?
For me, it was on the very different levels. Mm-hmm. We were sharing the flat, and at a certain moment, you see that apparently understanding of cleanness is very different. Not good or bad, but different. And sharing. You learn quite a lot about yourself, your communication skills, the limits of your patience, the way how to organize. It seems very simple thing on one hand, but when you are coming from a family life, when you have your family, or you go just for a project for 10, 20 days or whatever, it's a hotel, it's a different reality. Here you need to find a way to live with people. And I saw very different stories, very successful and nightmarish ones. Planning your life. I'm again coming from a country where transport system is totally different than Luxembourg. Luxembourg taught me to respect the time, because you are late from the bus 2 minutes, at least it used to be the case, but wait 20 minutes. And then you start to know that it is not like I will go out, the bus will come in 3 minutes, I will just wave, it will stop where I want. That was the system back then. Now it changed also back at home, back in Armenia, because now home is also Luxembourg. But these are things, and again, you realize that you learn when particularly you are having visitors. So like my friends would come to visit me, and I was like, you run now, because me, I don't want to wait 20 more minutes. And for them it was not understandable, like, yeah, but okay. So yeah, a lot of things I found out that rain can be depressive for me, and learn to love rain, because coming from a sunny country, ending up in Luxembourgish summer was a bit depressing after first year.
Which summer?
Voila, to find out. And the language-wise, I remember that one of my colleagues was English was not his strongest language, while the French was. And then it was the agreement. I speak English. I cook the lunch for whole staff, for people, but still really worked. That was very motivational. So learning is non-stop, I think, somehow happening.
Well, what could I add? It's I share also these experiences. Also, many other opportunities I shared with people from the continent, and it's very challenging. It's rich and it's a challenge, right? Back in the time of EVS in 2010, I was sharing with Fernaz, big kiss to Fernaz from Turkey. And we got along very well. And I could learn so much about Turkey, and she could learn a lot about Portugal as well. I wanted just to add that one big motivation to come to Luxembourg, it was not only to learn French, but also the topic of the project. So I was searching projects related with working with people, especially with migrants. So this was my niche. And when I was doing the onboarding, meeting everybody that came in 2010, people all over Europe, and to learn how many projects were happening in Luxembourg, so I could already develop ideas. We can work with Maison with Association. We worked so much. And with others, so the onboardings and the midterms were always like this days of explosion of talking about everything, what we could do with this person, with that person, with the other person. So it was a great experience. It was a long time ago, but it was I remember nice times. It was like my second Erasmus, I would say.
In this context, temporary turned into permanent, right? Like you came to Luxembourg for certain projects that had a specific duration from and until. And when was this realization for you that this country is no longer a host, but it's a home?
But personally, to me, it still happens. So I still see myself talking about Portugal as home. When I go back home, but when I'm Portugal is when I go back home. So I don't think there is a straight line. After so many years of living abroad from my birth country, you start mixing, and it's home. It's home both countries, right? I think Portugal will always be home, per se, and Luxembourg as well. And it took time. I think for me, it was more, the measurements was more the time, right? I don't find a specific period where there was this click.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, coming from a country that not EU, even the opportunity to stay in Luxembourg is not granted. It's not just because you choose, you want, you feel that you can do. So, but the interest to stay, I think it is how the country was making me feel. And I remember I had a visit from a cousin who lives in France, in a city that is very, very multicultural, which is hosting Council of Europe. And she was the first who brought my attention to one thing. She said, we walk on the street, we speak Armenian, no one cares. No one looks at you, and you hear so many languages. And the fact that no one cares is not because you are ignored, but because you are a part of this environment. You are not a stranger. You are not someone who would be pointed out just because you speak other language. While again, coming from a city where it seems to be so diverse, she was saying that people would look. And that's what makes you feeling welcomed, at least up to a certain level. Yes, you go to some structures like Ministry of Foreign Affairs for your living permit, and that's totally different reality. But on the street, you are not feeling unwelcomed. You feel quite part of the flow. So that was something that was exciting and interesting for me. Then I saw also a number of volunteers who were continuing their education in the university. And then I looked and found out that Luxembourg, university in Luxembourg was among best youngest universities just within 10 years. So I applied also for master, and it was totally different experience that I'm very thankful, because when you have, I saw also this intercultural clashes there when professor from France gave as an exam a review, literature review. You choose a book, you write a review. And then me, who never did it back in my university, even for master degree, I asked, okay, how long it should be? And he was like, yeah, as always, 7-8 pages. And the student from Germany just started to shout, saying that she was not interested in his class, but literature review is just 1 page. And that's why she took the course. I was like, we have intercultural clashes even in university. Because the systems, everyone was coming from its educational system.
And I also think it's age.
Could be.
Because
but
I felt this, sorry to interrupt, when I also did a second master's in Luxembourg at my 30s, and it was very different from my first master's when I was younger, and the second master's with the new system. Yes, I was always shocked with this. Colleagues were expecting to write reviews or papers of 1 page, and I was like, my hairs were up because on a serious student work, you do a 10 pages minimum.
For me, it was just interesting educational culture, something that in non-formal education you see less. And
Yes,
that's
sure.
the environment that I was working, and EVS and everything, and university was different. And in Luxembourg, I always felt very calm, because there was always this two realities that you said, Luisa, that when I was in Armenia, I really wanted to be back to Luxembourg. For me, it was calm. I could better concentrate. When I was here, I was feeling that it's my home, it's my summer, it's my fruits, it's my people, it's everything. And that's when also the realization that at a certain moment of my life I became a marginalized person. I am neither 100% in any of the countries. When I'm in Armenia, I'm identified as a foreigner or person from diaspora. I was told, go back to your country, because I started to speak about my rights once, which is tragically funny. Or in airport, people just speak English with me, assuming that I'm a foreigner. But also when I'm in Luxembourg, yes, it's my home, particularly now when my family is here. My daughter is half Luxembourgish, my husband is Luxembourgish. But just some days ago, we were talking with my husband, and in between, I said, but who you are? I was like, I'm Armenian. Because with all my integration, I am most probably still more Armenian than anything else. So the moment when Luxembourg became home, when my people started to live here, it's my family, it's now my husband and my child, our child, and because I again made you see, even translation I'm making from Armenian when we speak about the child, say my child, and then again my husband saying our child. I was like, yes, it's just translation from Armenian. So even daily life, these things are still happening. So yeah, that's a process, as Luisa said, and it's maybe never ending one.
It's a never ending. It's a never ending. Because I also have this, maybe because I'm too romantic when I travel to new countries, I so feel home. I love the planet, and I think I belong to the planet. So, yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I also think it's a very fluid process, how you feel, where you feel home, all the layers of the identity, all the coexistence of the plurality of the identity that we have, that we experience. And it's always interesting just to ask every individual, every single person, how they feel about it, what makes them feel home, what makes the place feel like home. I think one of the first moments that Luxembourg felt like home for me was back when I was exploring some local experiences, and I discovered the concept of farmers market here that would happen like every once in a while, maybe twice a week in each city. And I remember developing this habit of going to these farmer markets, and I would go and I tried to speak in Luxembourgish and try to buy the products in Luxembourgish. Of course, I would rehearse, I would prepare a bit in advance. And at some point, it was coming very naturally to me until people would just start talking Luxembourgish to me, celebrating the fact that I'm just like using the language to come and buy stuff from the market and giving me free things as well, which was another reason that I kept going back to the farmers.
If you want free stuff from the market, speak Luxembourgish. That's a nice tip.
That's a tip, yeah. Try it out.
My experience with Luxembourg is very interesting in another way as well. In Luxembourg, I discovered Portugal.
Absolutely.
In which sense? Because for people with my look, the most common people who look like me are Portuguese.
You could be Portuguese for sure.
Voila. Yeah. So a lot of people thinking where I'm Portuguese, particularly elder Portuguese, who were, I think, the generation or people who didn't learn Luxembourgish or French. So they would approach me in the bus stop,
Portuguese to you,
asking me in Portuguese, like, where the bus is going. And I was like, no. And for me, it was, I'm saying it's as a positive thing as well, because my discovery of Luxembourg was with an addition discovering Portugal. I traveled first time to Portugal because I simply got very interested with the association where I was volunteering was working with people around me on the streets. You think you hear about all that and all of the fado, and so you start to get interested. And I think this is also one of the rich part of Luxembourg, because it's rare a country where it is keeping up with its own somehow and do not kill but let others to coexist as well, because otherwise that would be quite fastly gone. It's very small countries where you can go and learn positively about other country, where the whole stereotypes are not put on, or all negative feelings and thoughts are not put on. So that's also, for me, one of the beauties of Luxembourg and Luxembourg diversity.
Think, and to add, I think Luxembourg is quite pioneer on this vivre ensemble, living together way of life, right? Where it's exactly this being together, evolving together, mutating together as migrants and them hosting country. This vivre ensemble where everybody it's feeling comfortable and welcome. It's yes, I don't hear it much outside of Luxembourg.
Mm-hmm. And since you mentioned now the vivre ensemble, the concept of living together, I want to ask you, what is it for you that living together? How would you talk about it? How would you describe it? What does it mean for you personally?
My everyday life. My everyday life. During my day, I speak several languages. I deal with people from different nationalities, my neighbors, at work, at home. My partner is Luxembourgish, my baby. I mean, she's still coming to this world to realize what she is, but she will be half Luxembourgish, half Portuguese, my half. It's what I live. I go to the Brazilian shop to buy something to eat. I go to the Indians to buy the spices that I like to have because I like to cook. I go to the Cape Verdeans to buy corn, flour. My daily routine is this. This is for me life in Luxembourg.
Yeah, I join exactly. It's my daily life. In our house, daily you hear three languages. It's Armenian, it's Luxembourgish, and plus English that we are using with my husband. So starting from the language level, and in a more, let's say, complex or social level, um, it is more deep and diverse process. I always say also that at least I started to feel quite fast at home in Luxembourg, but that's up to a certain glass ceiling. And at the beginning, it felt like there is no glass ceiling, that's how you go. And you reach a certain moment, which is not always, depends on the sphere of your life. That can be the glass ceiling a bit higher or lower. But then you face that, okay, no, you still have a difference. And I think, what does it mean to live together? It's maybe finding the balance between of all of these different levels and finding a possibility where everyone is accepted, at least at the level where they have the potential. Because it's not always when things are happening based on your potential. And it's not only for Luxembourg, I think. Again, it's general. I'm generalizing, surely referring partially on Luxembourg. But this vivre ensemble doesn't mean to tolerate and to be tolerated. It's a step more. Mm-hmm. It's not exist because I can exist. It's we live together, living parallel. Yes, but living together is a harder process than living parallel.
It's not, there's many positive aspects, but it's not only roses, right? Starting with communication, all these nationalities, different styles. I can see it from my WhatsApp group of my neighbors. You have Italians, Portuguese, Luxembourgish, French. I don't know how many nationalities we have in my building and our WhatsApp group. We could do a research because it's sometimes some neighbor, and then things eventually fade away if we meet in the elevator and we discuss the same topic again. But the styles of writing, sometimes this can accumulate some tension, let's say. and how we see separating the garbage and the budgets to approve and the meetings, and so it's a challenge, right, to make everybody work towards the same direction from so many different backgrounds. It's not an easy task.
And for me, even to talk about Luxembourg, I would ask which year. Even me as a person who, if I came first time in 2012, I left Luxembourg in 2016 for 7 years, and I basically came back. I mean, I was visiting for shorter times, and I came back in 2023. it's not the same Luxembourg where I came back. In 2012, there were certain nationalities and languages that you will hear on the street. And then Syria happened, and I saw the number of veiled women that I saw in 2012, honestly, in 1 year maybe was 2. And once I saw how the lady was harassed on the street. And now you walk and you do not pay attention on it anymore, because that's also a drop to the Luxembourgish society that is happened, and I think the society is still somehow diversing and absorbing, because it's also something more new. So, or the number of Armenians, honestly, we were 13, 14 in 2012? No, 40, not 14. But I remember we were laughing that we basically know each other. I could walk on the street, I was speaking Armenian, and 99% I was sure that no one can understand me. Now, no. I hear Armenian speech on the street in Luxembourg. So Luxembourg is also changing, and the process is also changing, and each wave is bringing something new challenges, new opportunities, and somehow the process is also getting more dynamic.
Mm-hmm. I have probably one last question before wrapping up this lovely, interesting conversation. I was wondering, your volunteering experience, how do you think it was probably and potentially preparing you back then for the life that you had to embark on here afterwards? What were those things, if you learned something from those times?
It's an interesting question. So meeting people, I would say it's my first number one positive aspect of EVS here in Luxembourg. The people I've met during my EVS are still, some are still my friends, and some people from the other associations I still collaborate with. So yeah, it was my this last year's. Since my EVS, I still collaborate, we still do projects, I still do volunteer, we still think about new ideas to create with these same people I met. And also to get to know to Luxembourg, the system, when you think about projects to do with children, with seniors, you have to go to the senior houses to talk with the directors or the managers, and to make meetings, to exchange emails, to go to the places, to organize the event. So you learn how the country functions, how relationship with people are. To also depending on some little fundings. You have to go left and right to organize your projects, right? So you end up getting, I think, a very deep experience of the country. And then you keep it for life, how to navigate, because everything it's the networking and how the system functions, where to go into the organizations, how to find first job, where to go to take care of your taxes, for example, or you need a document, where to go. So I had this. A newcomer that would come to Luxembourg would not have this. So the EVS was a kind of a trampoline, very easy one.
For me, I think EVS experience prepared me not for living in Luxembourg, because it's true, after EVS and studying, I would see myself living in Luxembourg. But it happened that I met my husband and moved. But to say that everything was only done for that, no. But interestingly, after EVS and studying, I started to work in International Committee of Red Cross. So I was for 7 years basically all over in Syria, in Iraq, in Tajikistan, in Ukraine, in conflict zones. But funny enough, I ended up feeling myself like at EVS because you share the flat and the house with your colleagues. So all what was told about EVS volunteers and young people, totally applicable to adult professionals, about cleanness, level of the noise, understanding what is the privacy, respecting the privacy, and so on. I was like, okay, I left EBS to end up partially in EBS. I definitely got skills or developed the skills that were before there as well. During the EVS, I developed them that helped me also to get my job. And among my colleagues, there were people who also did EVS. And while we were talking, we all were coming at the end to the same point, even if some of them had not successful, not the best projects as an EVS project and so on. We all were saying that, yes, it marked our life. And we all were coming to the point that in one or another way, in bigger or small amount, it helped us to end up where we were. So to do that work and to know what is to serve for humanity, to communicate, to negotiate, to navigate. So EVS, I think it was, and I'm happy that even the name is changed, but hopefully not the core idea, is a unique opportunity to experience, to learn and to develop in very different levels, skill, knowledge, attitude, but it's a possibility, and it is marking your life, hopefully, and mostly what I saw very positively.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it was
you.
really lovely talking to you and hearing about your volunteer experiences. And see you
Thank
next
you.
time.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.